Excellent. So there you go. So you just heard from that. That was from Google I/O this year. And they were talking about a few things there. They mentioned about the local community involvement. They spoke about how Google gets involved and helps out where they can. And I think they mentioned there with App Engine, and they switched to allowing Java on there, that they actually had an engineer come in and assist with that. They also mentioned about GTUG Campout, and I'll show you what the result of that was. Actually, I just realised while I'm talking, I know you're probably getting a bit restless, but we're going to get into the food in a second, so I hope that pizza smell is not driving you nuts over there. So, oops. So you mentioned GTUG Campout, and he mentioned that it was going to occur at the Googleplex, and it did, and it was a resounding success. They had over 200 developers, oh sorry, nearly 200 developers, designers, business people, come and spend the weekend there, and with the assistance of the Google engineers, they actually put together from the idea all the way to forming teams and working together to develop a working prototype by the end of the weekend. So they had 50, they came together and they had 50 ideas, 50 pitches, and from that it resulted into 32 prototypes that they presented, and there was a number of prizes awarded for that. But I think the interesting thing that Kevin picked up on there was about how with that one event they effectively created a startup over the weekend, which is a pretty cool concept. And in working with the engineers to develop these applications, in this particular instance it was for, mainly for Wave, they had working models by the end of it, because you're leveraging off the power and commitment of all these people coming together in that collaborative format. We mentioned about on the emails about the fast track, and what I meant there was about the Google Developer Qualification Program. Who's actually heard of this program within this group here? One? Two? I bet there's a few of you. I was just looking through what your focuses were. I think you might actually, this might be of interest. What it is if you go to that website, code.google.com/qualified, you can learn more about it, but it's about basically being recognised that you have a skill set as a developer. It's effectively an accreditation. And at the moment there's two APIs that you can be qualified for, Google Gadgets API and JavaScript Maps. So for those of you, I think there's a few of you who's interested in Maps, if you get your skill set up, you can actually be recognised and credited by Google for that. And the reason why you'd like to do that is you will then be placed on the website, and you can, there's a program that you can go through, and they'll give you the additional tools, and they'll give you the sponsorship in which you can actually win work. So if you basically want to develop full-time with Maps, that may be your sort of big break or your platform to do so. In terms of with GTUG, GTUG's been recognised as a great outlet and source to find great developers. So in terms of being qualified, I've mentioned here you need several things: references, active development examples, community participation, and there's an exam. So all up it's 5,000 points. With GTUG we can actually give you, well, it depends on how you frame it, but we can work towards your references and community participation. Now, I've got some key quotes down here by the Google engineers. One of them is about participation in the developer community being particularly important, and Google qualified developers are expected to be community leaders as such. And then also specifically about community participation references via the GTUG group, and how that can get you recognised through this fast track program. So at the moment, if you're interested in JavaScript Maps and Google Gadgets, there's a way to get you qualified a lot faster through GTUG. GTUG's also worldwide. Now, Kevin mentioned before about, I think there was maybe about something like 15 when they first started. I've actually been on the Silicon Valley GTUG since towards the start of the year, and that's how I heard about it. With the conference in May, they decided, well, hey, there's so much interest in this worldwide, there was a meeting subsequently at the Googleplex where they sort of, we could see there's a lot of developers interested, and they took it further. And there's actually 87 locations worldwide now, including us, in which GTUG is being run. So there's a pretty big community out there, and once we get running, you'll be able to leverage upon all these other communities and find out their learnings, and maybe look at some sample code that someone else has written, or some great ideas or applications or lectures from other groups. There's even one in Sydney, so there you go. But most importantly, GTUG's about us. So it's about the community that's of developers who come together. There's everywhere from, I think we showed before, this is in Shanghai. There's some pictures there of the Google camp out at Google I/O conference. There's some Google Wave engineers up there, and a few other staff members floating around as well. So there's a great opportunity to be really involved and engaged here. So I'll just quickly end this with my journey with GTUG. So, because I haven't really formally introduced myself. So I have a background working in universities at RMIT and University of Melbourne. I also worked in the medical field at Siemens in California. And these days I work in the construction industry in a role as a Six Sigma Black Belt implementing business improvement projects. And through that time I've learned Visual Basic, Java, and KML, XML, HTML. Now I wouldn't call myself a hardcore programmer by any means, but in terms of my involvement with Google Technologies, I've been working on things like Earth, Maps, and Android, and some of the outlets for that have been things such as local charities. I've also been involved with student associations as well. So that's my background, so I've introduced myself. What I'm hoping to do here now is, before I jump to Nick, there should be a slide there, which says, let's get together. Those of you who registered will have your what your Google focus is, and what your Google issued superpower would be. What I'd like to do is break up into small groups. I think we can do groups of 4, and let's grab some pizza, have some drinks, and just mingle for 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe just talk about what interests you in Google technology, and perhaps what languages and such. Or if you're not a hardcore programmer, perhaps some of the interests of using Google technologies, for example, in advertising with Google Gadgets or Maps. So yeah, let's take a pause now and grab some pizza and then form in groups of 4. So grab 3 other people and get together, and then we'll have one presenter come up and just for 3 minutes talk about the people that you met in your group. Is that clear? Is everyone cool with that?